Today I want to talk to you about one of the biggest assets I've ever had in marketing, but also some of my biggest failures that have cost me thousands. Now, of course, we're talking about hiring. Many SEOs don't like to talk about hiring. They're entirely focused on the Google algorithm, and that's fair enough, but if you really want to scale, you just can't do that on your own. And it's almost quite ironic that generally the best business owners and the best SEOs, it's not that they've got the unique understanding of algorithms or they've got specialist knowledge that no one else has. Generally, they are just good project managers. They're able to see the system as a whole and not get caught up in a single detail. So it's unfortunate, really. Obviously, I've done more than 150 videos on my channel, all about cutting-edge SEO strategies, which many of you appreciate. But to be honest, if you've got the budget, one of the best things you can do is just hiring the right talent who already have those skills. But a few of us can actually start off that way. So in my case, I'm gradually leveling up. I started with quite a basic team. Now I'm growing towards a much more advanced team. I'm still quite personally heavily involved, but more and more I'm looking for the best account managers, the best writers, the best link builders, and the best technical SEOs, so that we've got really intense expertise in each of these individual areas of SEO, with then my oversight over the top to join it all together. So what most people do when they start hiring is they just go straight to Upwork. And this is a perfectly good option. I've used it for years. You can see here loads of people I've hired on Upwork in the past. So you can, of course, post a job, and then we'll get into crafting the right job post. I'll explain that in a minute. But just to get an idea of what's out there, if we want a content writer, we can simply search that in the search bar. You can probably hear my neighbor upstairs having renovations. That's been going for about 2 weeks now. I've been trying to work around it and record when there's no banging and drilling, but I can't be bothered anymore. Hopefully it doesn't detract from the overall video. It's made it very difficult to actually keep up with my velocity of 2 videos per day. So hopefully you're still getting valuable content, even if there's a bit of background noise. So we can very quickly get an idea of how many content writers there are out there, a range of locations and fees. So basically what we can do is bring this down to our target budget. And one of my favorite aspects is actually location. So the Philippines is a really popular location, but one issue you might have with that is there's lots of typhoons and issues with infrastructure. So actually I've known loads of online entrepreneurs who really struggle. There can be a natural event, which then means their whole team is just knocked out for a week. And of course that's not their fault, but it definitely does pay to actually have some geographical diversification in your team. So if you have a few in the Philippines, you could have a few elsewhere, and then there's no concentration risk. You're not entirely dependent on one location. And that applies to things like economics as well. So I can just put in Philippines here if I want specifically people from the Philippines. Loads of people in the industry, though, are actually moving across to South Africa. Partly because of that, what I mentioned about currencies, the South African rand is actually offering very good value against the dollar, the pound, other international currencies. And what people are finding is they can really get top talent for a very reasonable price in South Africa. So a lot of my hires now, I'll generally go to Upwork and then skim through to find people in South Africa. So obviously we say the Philippines are native English, but South Africa, the standard of English is even higher. So you can see we've got examples here, $6 an hour, $8 an hour, $8 an hour. Now, of course, you still need to do lots of screening, and I'll come on to that in a minute. But Upwork does have its problems. It's this trapped closed system where basically all the payments, all the messaging has to go through Upwork. And you can see here they've got a contract initiation fee, and that's just one fee. And then they hit both the client and the freelancer with their own percentages as well. So actually it can work out very expensive in the long run. Plus a lot of the talent on here, they basically have to compensate for those fees. Plus they know that Upwork is this platform where lots of hirers are joining. So basically Upwork has inflated the costs of a lot of freelancers. And even then, once you hire them, you're then stuck within that system. So constantly paying that fee. I think it's after 2 or 3 years you can actually buy them out. Some people will attempt to do that earlier and try and subtly get them off the platform secretly. But of course, there's repercussions from that if you get caught. And also, it is a freelancer marketplace. So what you'll generally find is you're very unlikely to get full-time talent who are totally dedicated to you. Loads of these writers will already have multiple clients, and even if they do choose to go full-time with you, there is always this risk that their profile is still live. They might well take up side gigs in the future. And yeah, who can blame them? But that's just a discipline thing. If you hire someone, then there's no doubt for the first 3 to 6 months, they're going to be very happy working for you. But I'm sure you know the feeling if you've been employed for a year or two and suddenly these other opportunities start cropping up, then you do start seeing how you could potentially fit those in. So great for freelancers, great for providing work opportunities. But as a business owner, we've got to look after ourselves first, put our own oxygen mask on. So if you are looking for full-time staff, you need to make sure they are off the market, basically. So for staff in the Philippines, actually a great option is onlinejobs.ph. Now what you'll generally find here is it's just a job board for the Philippines. So because of that, when you hear people talk about their $500 VA who's actually really good, really highly skilled, great English language, and they're just $500 a month, they've normally come from a platform like this, not from Upwork. So salary expectations tend to be much lower. There's not really a middleman. The platform does offer a sort of escrow service where you can pay through there, but you're not obliged to actually use it. Basically, to actually post a job, you just need to sign up for $70 a month. And if you hire someone in that month, then you can cancel. So that's what loads of people I know do. You can see no middleman markup. So if you want to post jobs, pay $70, cancel the membership once you've found your person, and you're pretty much good. The issue with that is in screening. So while Upwork gives you a really good breakdown of every past gig that freelancer has had and the feedback, of course that can be manipulated, but generally on Upwork, people are quite truthful. Whereas on here, it's really difficult. Basically, every job post you put out is just going to get spammed. So this is a real gold I actually wanted to give you here. And that's basically how you construct your job post in the right way. Now, I've heard loads of entrepreneurs say for a long time, when you're putting a job post like this, you want some sort of trivial detail for the real A players to actually pick up on. So it can be something like send us your favorite emoji. And I did that for quite a while. And that was a great check because it basically meant you can just go through all these applicants and quickly identify who has actually read the job post in full and followed the instructions rather than just skimming it and submitting a copy and paste template. Now, again, I've been in the job market years ago. I know how tedious it is when you have to go through multiple stages of application. Then there's a call, like first interview, second interview, go away and do a task, do this presentation. Yes, it's a pain. So I know some of this does seem a bit cruel, but you saw here, I've got something like 60 applications. And in this case, in order to put on our own oxygen mask first, we need real A players who can not only do the job, but they've got the initiative to actually think on their feet and actually be a real asset for the business. So if I'm overwhelmed, if other team members are overwhelmed, they can basically take the next step, be proactive, and really contribute to the team rather than just fulfilling a task where you've got to provide every single instruction and SOP. I can tell you it's so much better when your team can go away independently and work out the answers for themselves. So the emoji was good, but I've actually had a much better piece of advice from actually a friend of mine, and basically put at the bottom of the post, in your application, please include a brief selfie video introducing yourself and why you'd be a good fit for this role. And what you'll find is the vast majority of applicants just won't even see this. So they copy and paste, they move on. Some people might even personalize your name in the application, things like that, rather than dear hiring manager. So you can be as smart as you like, but have they actually done this crucial step? Now, the way people actually fulfill this is really interesting because some people will have introductory videos, but they're using the same one for every job. Now, this might sound cruel, but I'm literally saying 2-minute job, selfie video on your phone, and we just want to start a conversation, basically. It doesn't matter about your lighting, your webcam, anything like that. That's not what we're looking for. The fact is, someone picks up the phone and actually starts recording, they're already ahead of 80-90% of the competition. But then you might find all they do is just read through their CV. You're not really getting any sense of energy and initiative. So that's a common pitfall I find. And like I say, some people have already got a default introductory video and they've been using the same one for a year or two. So basically, when you check who's actually fulfilled the brief of just delivering you a good, fresh selfie video directly for this job post, and you're down to just a handful of candidates, it's a massive time saver, and you know those candidates are good. Notice I don't say anything about the upload process here, but that's because we want to inspire this initiative. So people just come back with a Google Drive link, and that's absolutely fine. They've found a solution without me prompting them. So here's a pretty typical example of the kind of application we get. Hi there, I'm skilled at this. Here's all my expertise. Now this all looks really good. Old me would have said, yes, absolutely. However, I am not seeing a video. So they're missing a fundamental part, which is that attention to detail, thinking, and initiative. It doesn't really matter how experienced or how highly skilled someone is. Can you actually rely on them? If you give them a complicated task, you've got full confidence they can think on their feet and achieve that without you having to hold their hand. Now, of course, AI has made hiring much harder. I've got nothing against people using ChatGPT for job applications. I think it makes sense. That's exactly what the AI is for, saving on tedious, repetitive tasks. But again, how well do they do it? I'm also very dubious at writing samples, especially if they're just handing out web links, which is a common one, because if they're ghostwriting for the site, you've got no idea. They've just not gone to a website and grabbed a load of articles and said, yes, that's my work. And often there have been editors involved and things like that. So it's really not a reliable indicator of success. So again, this all looks really good. And she has said, want to see me in action? Here's my video application. But what you quickly find is, yes, this looks like a really good presentation. But I'd be willing to bet if I actually listened to it, I'd find it's very generic, not very tailored towards my specific needs. So what I then do is I go up to the top here, if it's on Google Drive, and look at details, and we see created in August 2022. So this applicant, fair enough, they've already done more than the average applicant, they've been submitting the same video introduction for nearly 2 years. So that's just smart. It's not massive points down, but if I've got all these applications and someone has actually recorded a unique video just for this job post, specifically addressing what I need, then I'm always going to go with them and give them more priority. Now, like I say, loads of top SEOs have actually been moving their teams to South Africa and finding really good talent in South Africa for a reasonable price. So certainly when I wanted to get started in this, the question was, what is the Upwork or the online jobs of South Africa? And of course, you can target Upwork to South Africa, but you're still trapped in Upwork. So we really want more of the equivalent of onlinejobs.ph for South Africa. But the basic fix is actually just Indeed. You can list a job post targeting South Africa, and then the recommendation is you want to try and fill that with applicants as soon as possible. So just put $100 of ad budget to promote that campaign to the right location. So you can see I had no problem getting a whole load of applicants for this. But again, the video application was crucial. And I had some people who were highly qualified, at least on paper, who looked like really good fits. And I'd even be prompting them in the Indeed mail. Because the great thing about Indeed, it does start that chat. There's someone I really wanted to hire, and I said, can you just have one more look at the job post just to make sure you fulfilled all the requirements? Because I'm really trying to help you out here. I want to give you a hint. And they come back and say, yep, read it. Nope, done everything. There's nothing else. And it's just that thing of that hand-holding thing. How much do I have to spoon-feed you? If even in the application stage, I'm saying there's this one detail you've missed, are you sure you don't want to give it another check? Then what are they going to be like as an employee when you're actually reliant on them for crucial tasks? So the platform really doesn't matter that much. But the most important step really is that hiring funnel, making sure you've got enough applicants that you can screen for quality. And you want to do this all in good time so that you don't reach a crisis point where you just need someone really quickly and you drop the standards, you get someone. Now, this is a lot more streamlined than I've heard other people doing. I've seen really complex multi-stage funnels, literally like a sales funnel, where you're getting applications from all these different aggregators, and they've got to fill in a form, then do a task, provide references, you call them up. But requiring that simple selfie video has been transformative in terms of literally screening out 99% of applicants, leaving the handful, maybe 4 or 5, who I know are capable of going the extra mile. Not doing this in the past has cost me literally thousands. For one thing, there's just opportunity cost, where if you still feel like you're doing everything and to actually grow the business requires more work from you, then it's really difficult to actually scale. Whereas as soon as you get those key A players in, suddenly your company just starts growing, really without you doing anything, especially with new hires. And you just find they get brought into the team, they meet the other members of the team without you having to orchestrate this all. And ultimately, all of this needs to be its own SOP. You want to SOP the hiring process, define your individual roles, and therefore make sure that when you need a new content writer, when you need a new link builder, or a new project manager, the team can simply take that checklist, take those steps, list the right job post on the right job platform, include the right screening steps, and ideally, actually hire the person without you doing anything. But if it comes down to them just providing you with 3 good applicants and you have the final say, then that's a massive win. That's a much better way to grow a company than reaching a crisis point, then having to take a week out of your schedule to go out and try and find a candidate when you're under time pressure.